Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today let's talk about a little game called Samurai Shodown, released just last year. I'm going to be focusing this discussion on content within fighting games, using Samurai Shodown as my focus. It's a game I have a fairly weird relationship with from its launch up until today, and that's what I want to talk about here. So I want to begin by giving my very brief history with this game leading up to its launch and up until now. As soon as the game was announced, I knew that it's something that I wanted to play. Despite this, I'd never heard of Samurai Shodown, although it did sound familiar, but I have no memory of ever playing or seeing any of the games. I was more of a Kung Fu Chaos kind of guy myself. Anyway, I followed this game loosely leading up to its launch, mainly in the form of watching the amazing trailers from time to time, and managed to pick up the game soon after launch. So yeah, there were a few reasons I was really excited to play this game. Firstly, I loved its visual presentation, which I'm always a very big fan of extending past video games. I also enjoyed the individual characters and their designs. Even the characters that don't typically appeal to me still look very good. I also really liked the push for its unique gameplay style, being a very hardcore, rewarding combat system that favours quick strategic thinking over all else. In a game like this, rounds can be won or lost from a single strike. It seemed like a game that was very easy to pick up, but also very difficult to master, which I am all for. So the game launched, and like I said, I picked it up soon after launch, and I was split on my impressions. I did and still do enjoy the overall gameplay, which is the most important thing to me, but I found myself disappointed in many other ways. This all comes down to one key thing, and that's content. Aside from actual gameplay, the thing I like most in games is how much I can play the game, which is usually heavily affected by its content. Which I have been more than entertained by many games that lack in content. I definitely see it as a big issue in Samurai Shodown. Competitive and hardcore communities in games no doubt keep the game as relevant as possible, but without a strong foundation, that can't exist. That strong foundation being a casual fanbase. I'm a very casual fighting game player. I play quite a few different fighting games, but I don't usually play them at any level of seriousness, and just enjoy the experience like I do with any game. The reason I bring this up is because Samurai Shodown is lacking in the areas that could make it a fun and successful casual game, potentially causing it to die within the next year or so. Die I'm using as a fairly loose term. The game has a handful of game modes for offline play, including an arcade ladder story mode, asynchronous online dojo mode, and some other standard stuff such as gauntlet, time trial, and survival modes. In terms of online modes, it has the standard quick and ranked matches, as well as private matches. Now again, why would I bring this up? Well, that's all Samurai Shodown really has. There's 16 base roster characters with 9 more from seasons 1 and 2 of DLC, all of which have a lot of depth because of the nature of the game mechanics. But again, that's it. What can Samurai Shodown do to improve itself as a game and hopefully create a greater appeal for a larger audience? Well, the first thing I think of when looking at a baseline for replayability is some basic customization, and that's something that SamSho is lacking in anyway. Look at Killer Instinct 2013, Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2. These 3 fighting games, which are pretty good for their own reasons, all incorporate this pseudo RPG leveling system where you can level up your characters as you play them to unlock a host of new cosmetic items. In the case of Injustice or Mortal Kombat, you can also mix and match new attacks to tailor your playstyle to yourself, although that's a little extreme to suddenly add to SamSho. I think that would be a great system to add to the game though. At the very least, a leveling system to unlock new things such as titles and artwork, but also being able to customize your characters would be amazing as well, especially with this unique art style. This could also be weaved into new offline experiences. Again, I'm going to use NetherRealm fighting games as an example here because they're at the top of their game when looking at single player content, but also adding some Living Towers style mode where the player can participate in a number of arcade style ladders with different conditions to unlock different things. And this would only work well if you also incorporate the customization and RPG elements I mentioned before. It would also be nice to have a regular arcade mode without a specific boss battle at the end, and also having a random ordering of enemies without cutscenes. The story mode in this game is basically an arcade mode with some basic cutscenes throughout and a boss battle right at the end. It would at least be interesting if there were multiple endings for each story mode, since all they are really 2D artwork with some voiceovers. And that's another thing that I want to talk about. This game's story mode takes itself too seriously, like many failing story modes. There's minimal sense of semblance between the characters and their stories and how they all relate to each other. Honestly, I think a game should do the absolute bare minimum or just go all out, because this story mode is in that awkward middle ground where it's trying to be something it's not, but doesn't rein itself back when it probably should. The attempt is appreciated, but it doesn't really help that experience. So I've spoken a little bit about some ways to increase the volume of content in the game with some basic new offline modes and more incentives to play the game, but there's one major thing that needs fixing in this game, which won't require anything new to be added, but simply reworking what's already there, and that's the dojo mode. Dojo mode is basically an in-game system where the game records your playstyle the more you play a character in the game and creates a ghost of that style. You can fight your own ghost to get an understanding of what it feels like to fight against yourself, or download and share other ghosts online to test yourself against the best in the world. This mode is quite ingenious because it allows for that level of replayability I was talking about without being restricted by netplay. The majority of this game's marketing focused on the hardcore visceral combat system, but this mode was also pushed as well. Unfortunately and unsurprisingly, the mode did not deliver. I haven't played this mode much, but I have downloaded some of the top ranked players, those who play the game the most, and the AI is so much dumber than the regular AI. The most common trend I found is that the AIs like to jump around a lot, throw out a few normal attacks here and there, and never use their special attacks. Nothing more to say here. I would just like to see this mode fixed in the future. My other suggestions for better content in Samurai Shodown seem like better options to me personally, but dojo mode is something that definitely needs fixing. That's all I have to say regarding Samurai Shodown right now. Do I think that these things will be implemented? Absolutely not. I honestly have no idea what SNK are thinking and doing right now other than releasing their consistent DLC characters. Samurai Shodown isn't in any immediate trouble. It's still going strong competitively with regular tournament showings and being one of the main titles in EVO 2 years in a row now. Its competitive community is definitely there like I said, but I'm not so sure about its casual community. I do want to confirm that I do really like Samurai Shodown and will continue to enjoy the game even if it's left unchanged, but I doubt I'll be playing very much in a couple of years or so when I'm looking for a new fighting game to relearn. The game feels very barren to play. It feels like a very solo experience, like there's not much heart to it. And that's a shame because I know the developers are working hard and there is a hardcore audience there playing the game. The experience just feels very disconnected is my best way of describing it. It's really challenging to put my feelings into words there. Anyway guys, that's all I have to say about Samurai Shodown right now. I'm super tired writing this script at 3 AM. This video served as a bit of a wish list as well as a platform for me to openly talk about a game I've been on and off with since launch. Thank you to everyone who has watched and stuck around until the end. It really means a lot to me and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye guys.